Dear students, in the previous sessions we had seen the introduction to the second poem and the poet as well. The second poem prescribed in your text is If, written by Rudyard Kipling. So in the previous sessions we had seen the introduction to Rudyard Kipling and the analysis of the poem also. Now in this particular session we are going to discuss the annotation and the short questions based on this particular poem. We had already discussed how to write the annotation answer with respect to the first poem. So the same principle holds good for every poem. Whenever you are going to answer the annotation, you are supposed to mention the title of the poem and the poet also. Now 5 marks is allotted for one annotation. Out of 5 marks, the first 2 marks will be given if you give the correct poem and the poet's name, title. And the 3 marks will go to the explanation of the lines which you are supposed to annotate. Now, what do you mean by the explanation of the lines? Who said to whom, when, and what is the meaning of the lines? As I had already told you, Sandarbha Sahita Vivarisi. This is the Kannada term which you might be very familiar with. Annotation means the same. Now the annotation which is given in the textbook, if you have your textbooks in front of you, when you are listening to this video lecture, you can see the annotation which is given in your text, and this is what which is given, and they have answered this question as a sample answer. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. So these are the first 4 lines of the poem. So if you get these lines, how do you answer this annotation? This is how the answer goes. The above lines are taken from the poem If, written by Rudyard Kipling. So for this particular sentence alone, you will be awarded 2 marks because the name of the poem and the name of the poet. If it is given correctly, 2 marks, easy 2 marks you can score. Now comes the explanation of the lines. The poet offers his opinion on how to conduct oneself in times of crisis. The poet urges the readers that when the going gets difficult and things stop working in our favor, we must not lose our composure and deal with the situation at hand in a calm manner. It is human nature to save oneself from the blame for failure and put it on others. So this is how you are going to give the explanation, and to continue with the explanation, it says the poet asks us to combat this basic human frailty and harbor within ourselves the courage to take the responsibility for our actions that produce undesirable results. During this time of crisis, people lose their rationality and indulge in blame game of accepting responsibility. So the poet advocates perseverance. So in the entire 4 lines, the main focus is having calmness and having cool mind. That's what he is trying to say. So that explanation is given in this particular annotation. So this is how you answer the annotation question. And while giving the explanation of the lines, you need to be up to the point. You are not supposed to give either very less explanation or very much explanatory words are not supposed to be used, because it's only for 3 marks. The explanation is only for 3 marks. So be up to the point and be precise. Now when we move to the short questions and answers, the questions which are already given in the text, the first question is this: what are the values represented in the poem? Now if you can see the entire poem, study each and every line and you will get one or the other quality or the moral value which is presented in the poem. So the answer goes this way: calmness, trust in the self, honesty, truthfulness, patience, balanced mind, confidence, humility, and responsibility. So you need to give all the values which are mentioned in the poem here. Now the second question: explain the expression the unforgiving minute in the poem. Actually, when I was explaining the poem to you in the previous session, the last part of the poem, I had specifically mentioned the phrase unforgiving minute and I had given the explanation there. If you had observed that clearly, the answer can be easily understandable. The answer is this: it means if one wastes time, even time doesn't forgive, so one should utilize time properly. That is the meaning of unforgiving minute. Now the next question, what should be the person's stand when he is doubted by everyone? So you can find this in the poem. The lines are very clearly specified in the poem. He should make room for their doubts and try to understand what made them doubt him. So if somebody doubts us, instead of getting angry with them, think for a while, why did they doubt us? Is there any problem in me? So this kind of a thought will lead to personal development. So this explanation I had already given in the analysis of the poem first stanza. So this is the answer for it. Now the fourth question, what does the line if all men count with you but none too much in the poem mean? So this particular sentence comes in the last stanza of the poem. So the answer is this. It means even if people have respect on you, don't allow too much dependency on you as it leads to emotional attachment and failure in duty. So the explanation, if you have observed, you will have to brief the explanation and shorten it to one sentence and give us the answer. Now moving on to the fifth question, how does Kipling represent hopes and fears in the poem? So the answer is the poet asks to hold on to the hopes, whatever may be the situation, and never allow the fears to creep in. Probably this theme you can see in the third stanza. Now what is the overall theme of the poem? The poem If by Rudyard Kipling is about the suggestions from father to his son on how to cope with different situations in the life ahead. So this is how you need to answer, putting everything in a small shell, in a nutshell, that's what we say. And moving on to the next one, why does the poet want us to dream and yet not make dreams our master? You can find this concept in the second stanza, because only dreams would take the person away from reality. So that's why you should not make your dreams your master. You should have control over your dreams. If you are in the dream world, it will take you away from reality. So this is the reason why he says, don't make dreams your master. Have control over your dreams. At the same, connect yourself to reality. Now, eighth question, why does the poet call triumph and disaster impostors? This you can see again in the second stanza itself. Triumph and disaster are impostors as they make one either very happy or very sad, very miserable, which are never long lasting. What do you mean by impostors? Not real, fake. So these are fake in the sense very temporary. They don't last long. So don't rely on these. Have balanced mind without being either too happy or too sad in life. Continue your journey with a balanced mind. That's what he means to say. Now moving on to the ninth question. What does Kipling's poem If suggest about life and choices? Now this is a kind of inferential question. You don't get the answer directly from the poem in any of the lines directly. You have to understand the poem and then give your own answer. The answer goes this way. The poem is a rule book for life to perfect the art of living and be human. This is what poem If suggests about life and choices. Now the last question, what kind of roadmap for life is conveyed in the poem? The poet mentions different virtues to be followed to achieve the human-like qualities. So this is all about the short questions and answers. And remember that the first section of the question paper is the short questions on the entire text, And this section, short questions, answers should be very short in a word or a phrase or a sentence, which will carry 1 mark each. So be precise and be up to the point. Don't give unnecessary explanation in this particular section. I hope you have understood all the questions and answers and the way to answer the annotations here. I think this session will help you to have the answers which are going to be pruned, which are going to be up to the point and not go beyond control. Thank you very much.